Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Aryantanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Ayaryanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Uvajjayanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Saunam. Omkaram Bindu Sanyuktam Nityam Dhayanti Yoginam Kamadam Mokshadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namah. Namaha Samaysaraya Swanubhutya Chakasate Chit Sabhavaya Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantarachide Agnanatimirandhanam Gnana Anjana Salakaya Chaksuvinmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Tirthankaro Jagatana Jaivantavarto Omkaranada Jinano Jaivantavarto Jinana Samo Sarana Sau Jaivantavarto Ne Tirthachara Jagama Jaivantavarto Namo E Tirthanayakane Namo Omkaranadane Omkara Sangaryotene Namo Te Sri Kunda Kundane Ahopakara Jinavarano Kundano Dvani Divyano Jina Kunda Dvaniyapya Aho Te Guru Kanano Aho Bhagavati Matano Dhruva Achalane Anupama Gati Pamela Sarve Siddhane Vandi Kaho Sutta Kevali Bhasita Asamaya Prabhrata Are Mu Eka Suddha Sada Arupi Jnana Darasanamay Khare Kai Anyate Maru Jari Paramanu Matra Nathi Are Jam Netra Tema Jagyana Nathi Karaka Nathi Vedaka Are Jane Jakara Moday Nirajara Bandate Majamokshane Om Namasiddhebhyo Om Namasiddhebhyo Om Sri Sudatmane Namaha Jai Jinendra. Today is a June 15th, 2020. No, July. Oh, I'm 1 month back. July 15th, 2020 and Wednesday, and we are continuing our class on Samaysar. On Samaysar class, we are on the stanza 32. As we said before, stanza 31, 32, 33, the three stanzas are coming in a line. They are bunched together. And in those stanzas, this is called Nishchay Stuti. Nishchay Stuti means it just tells me about the, one second, hold it. Yeah. It just tells me about the laudation, worshipping for the Tirthankar Bhagwan from absolute point of view. Remember, we are in Samaysar. Samaysar is mainly from the absolute perspective. And once one has a pretty good grip on this Samaysar from absolute perspective, from reality perspective, then he or she, if one has really understood in a right way, then what do I have to do? Doing. That question will not arise in the mind, because all the activities which leads me to the eternal soul substance, it will automatically occur. I don't have to have any extra effort to do those activities. A person who knows swimming, he goes into the water and he has not to do any effort. He swims naturally. Similarly, once we understood the real nature in absolute form, then all activities that I'm supposed to be doing, it will occur automatically, naturally. There is no effort required for that. So those are the things are very important, why we should just start from the absolute point of view. Why not to start from conventional point of view, vyavhar nahi, and then go to the nishchay nahi? No, that is not true. I mean, according to Kunkuna Acharya Dev, according to Gurudev Sri Kanji Swami, they say this is the way we believe is a right path to do it. And not only they are saying, but they have experienced that path. And from that experience, they are telling that if one walks on this path in this form, then he or she definitely will achieve the ultimate that they are they are looking for. Having said that, in a 31 stanza, 32 stanza, and 33 stanza, they are divided into three parts. And how can I get number one? It's called Tirthankar Bhagwani Nishchay Stuti, omniscient Lord's absolute form of laudation. So, the very first thing in the 31st stanza, it told us about how to get out from this sensory object. The eyes, etc., eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the skin, they do this. They are sensory organs, and they perceive the sensory object. They perceive the object, and once the object is here, senses are perceiving, and then that object get to be known into the knowledge mode, but it is called indirect way of knowing, fragmented form of knowing, and that's why it's not called true knowing. There's a mango in front of me and I am looking at the mango. So one knowledge about the color that I perceive. I smell the mango, smell perspective, I perceive that mango. I touch the mango, from touch perspective, I perceive the mango. And then I tasted the mango. So taste perspective, I perceive the mango. So mango as a whole says that I am the perfect, I am the complete object. You know me completely. I have objectivity attribute, prameyatva gun. That's therefore you know me completely. I'm giving my completeness to you for you to know. But I have a problem with my knowledge. I don't have a right knowledge, samyagnan. So whatever knowledge I have, it is a sensory knowledge, and sensory knowledge is perceiving a unfragmented, complete mango in a fragmented form, color, smell, touch, and taste. So the fragmented form of knowing, it's called indirect knowledge through the help of senses. And so one has to give attention to these sensory objects and go to the eternal soul substance. That's a very first part of a laudation to the Tirthankar Bhagwan, because I am experiencing my soul away from the sensory object. That's the first one. That's a first form of laudation. And that means the soul comes on the fourth spiritual development state. Now he still further pursues his career and he wants to purify further. And that further purification occurs in two forms. First, it comes in the separation form, and then it comes in the elimination form. Separation form means all my the remaining minor form of inclination of attachment and aversion. Manda kashai, pratyakhani, sanjvalan kashai. They are kind of milder form of toxic emotion. First, the soul will do in a separation pattern, and then ultimately it will do the elimination pattern. So three things, three stanzas, three things. One, to stay away from the sensory object. and to obtain the right faith. Second thing, remaining toxic emotions to suppress. And third one, remaining toxic emotions to eliminate. Now, we are talking three different things. They don't occur in that sequence. They may occur together, but for our understanding, Acharya Bhagwan has given this three stanza for us to understand, because we do not have total, unconditional, unfragmented form of knowledge in this wrong faith state. So that's why we need to have some form of a fragmented form of knowledge to understand. So that's why Acharya Bhagwan put this three stanza. So having said the prelude, we just go for the where we were last time and start from there. So some things I have to repeat, because we have some another young lady has joined from Atlanta. She is extremely interested. She also knows so many things, and for her sake, I just want to make sure that she's also with the program. That's why I just did this 5-10 minutes of opening remark. Now we are going to the thing. This was the last slide we saw last week. One has obtained right faith, and at that time he has taken his. Oh wait, sorry, I'm sorry, I don't have screen share. 1 second. Start screen share. Okay, so slide. Okay, yeah, this way we stop at this point last week. So one has obtained right faith, and when the right faith has been obtained, that means the very first type of hybridization fault, Shankar dos, Meg Nayak Shankar dos, object of knowledge and knowing. This is object of knowledge. This is the phone is the object of knowledge, and I am knowing an object of knowledge. When I make them as one, I knew it because there's a phone here. I knew it because there's a computer in front of me. I knew the slide because slide is in front of me. That means I am having hybridization fault. Neg Nayak Shankar dos. And when I'm getting right faith, fourth spiritual development state, then that object and a knowledge of knowing the object, that hybridization fault gets destroyed, that gets removed. So that's once obtained right faith. Still there is presence of milder form of a toxic emotions or inclination of attachment state present. And those are the things are so mild, but still they are present, and they need to be removed. And that's why from fourth spiritual development state to 12th spiritual development state is called aspirant stage. The person who has aspired to completely go for liberation. So first he has obtained the right faith, and now he is an eligible soul to go further. So he is an eligible soul to go further on the path to liberation. Now from 4th to 12th spiritual state, he has mild form of influence of attachment. He's going to remove. That means he's on the aspirant state. This is a conduct related altered from charitra moniya karma. This altered behavior that I have in milder form of toxic emotions or inclination of attachment state present, they are conduct related altered form. What does it mean? It means once one has obtained the samyak darshan, right faith, right knowledge, right conduct, he is still having some minor form of inclination of attachment present. In the sense, let's presume that we all are sitting over, we already end up getting samyak darshan today. Well, we are still doing our job, whatever job person is doing, he continues to do the job. He or she continues to run the household and everything. He or she continues to go to work and do business and whatever. So those are the inclination of attachment state present. Srimadji obtained Samyak Darshan at age 24. He's still doing business. When he's doing business, he does perfect job, but he has no interest of any kind at all. He thinks that this is his weakness, that he has to do the business. His job is to get engrossed into the nature of the soul. A bank clerk, for example, she is doing a job of counting millions of dollars the whole day. She never makes a single cent mistake, but she's totally detached from those dollar bills. She has no affection, no affinity. Similarly, this aspirant soul could be running the household, could be running the business, could be raising the kids, etc., etc. But he has no attachment to that. So he has that milder form of what charitna, conduct related altered forms are there. One needs to educate self with the knowledge. Now, this kneading, we talked about it. We talked about the kneading and we saw that video of the kneading also, how to do the kneading of the flour. You take the flour and you put the water and then you just do the kneading so that the roti comes out perfect. So similarly, here one is educating himself and herself and going for further refinement of the knowledge and reducing his or her influence of attachment state. With the eternal soul, one now has separation of his feeling of influence of attachment state. Now, with this eternal soul, that is the center of his universe right now. That's all he's thinking about it. And at that time, now he is doing enough of his personal effort to suppress this remaining conduct related alter form. He just does try to work. He's going suppression for that. That's called Upsham, and that's called Upsham Sreni, means 7 spiritual development state. He will go from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 11. And 11 is a separation of all the toxic emotions. Separation. You put your foot on the spring. You try to suppress it, but you can continue to suppress only for so long. And when you get tired, then you take your foot out, the spring just springs up again. So that's a separation, that's a upsham. Means the soul can go all the way up to 11 spiritual development state, but then from there, the rise of the influence of attachment, which we have been suppressed, it will occur. And because of that, soul will fall down to 6 spiritual development state, to 5th, maybe 4th, maybe he can go all the way up to 1st spiritual development state also. But remember, this soul coming down to 1st spiritual development state, he is so worked up right now. He says, okay, my personal effort were a little bit less. He intensifies personal effort and he tries again. Last week we said, Rishabdev Bhagwan, in the 3rd life prior to him becoming Rishabdev Bhagwan, he was son of a Tirthankar Bhagwan. And at that time, he took the monkhood. And from there, from the 6th and 7th spiritual development state, Rishabdev Bhagwan's soul end up taking suppression ladder twice, two times. First time he took it, he came back to 6th spiritual development state. Second time he took it, again he came back to 6th spiritual development state. And at that time, the life came to an end. So he ended up going to the highest heavenly place. So suppression does occur, and Tirthankar Bhagwan's life, when we learn about it, they tell us that Tirthankar also is just like ourselves, regular person before they become Tirthankar. Yesterday, I had some of the kids from the Boston. They were talking about it, and they said, "Can Bhagwan be just like us?" I mean, these are young kids, 10, 12, 13-year-old kids. And I said, "Yes, they are just like us." And they work with the personal effort, and they purify themselves, and they either take suppression ladder or annihilation ladder and keep going further up on the spiritual ladder. So here, this ends up with the engrossment. The engrossment of means this rotary. When you are kneading the flour, first you have put the. I'm talking as if I'm expert in making rotary. You know, I mean, this is my stolen knowledge that I'm talking to you. I looked at my wife making it and just anyway. So you have you put the water into the flour. Is it done? No, now you have to work on it, and you have to just work with your fingers and everything, and then it becomes smoother, and thereafter you can make perfect roti. Similarly, when the soul gets engrossment in the eternal self, and the end result will be perfect roti, or end result will be liberation. So the altered mode of inclination of attachment state needs to be removed, because this is the whole thing, that how can I remove these guys? How can I remove my altered modes? So it says process, just like the kneading the flour process. And the Gurudev gave this example, that's why I'm talking. He says, લોટને કેળવવો પડે તો રોટલી સારી થાય, એવી રીતે આત્માને કેળવવો પડે તો liberation મળે, mukti મળે. That was Gurudev's specific word. So process, bring attention to the eternal soul to start with. Then he says intensification of the attention to the soul, because first we bring the attention to the eternal soul, and then if the personal efforts are not that strong, and one may fall down from there, so one has to intensification of the attention to the soul. First, by suppression of the inclination of attention and inclination of attachment and aversion, means ragno upsham karvo. First, suppression of the inclination. That means it's called suppression ladder. It goes from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 spiritual development state. Then one uses his discriminative science state to obtain such state. So this is stanza 32nd. Acharya Bhagwan is talking that your discriminative science Bhed Gnan, by which you have made the attention to the eternal soul, and that's why initially you end up with this suppression ladder. Just like Rishabdev Bhagwan we talked about in the previous life. There is karma fruition. Belief that the soul has to be in the altered state. This is a wrong statement. Number one, I can say there's a karma fruition, and that's why I end up going to the altered state. Karmano uday thayo che એટલે હું અત્યારે વિભાવમાં છું. This is wrong statement. Karma fruition is an independent event, and my going to altered state is an independent event. They both have principal cause, auxiliary cause relationship. But to believe that I'm in the altered state because of fruition of karma, this is my wrong faith. And if this wrong faith persists, my transmigration will persist. So first,
and this is this fallacy is the vast majority of Jains that I come across.
Yeah, and because I mean, this is, and you're right. You're right. So we all, it is our own responsibility to start with. Charity begins at home. I have to have proper understanding. Once I have proper understanding, then at least there is a chance for me to go on the spiritual path. Arizona lottery says, if you don't buy, you don't win. So here, if you buy right thing, then there is chance you can go on the right path. But if you're in the wrong faith all the time, wrong state like this, that karma fruition, that's why I had the altar say, then it's not going to work. So soul's mode by itself brings attention to the fruition of karma. Soul by itself
I have a
brought,
question.
yes.
Somebody who believes this statement, which you just called a wrong statement, can we establish that as Kur Dharma?
You can say, well, co-understanding. Let's start with that, and then we can just say dharma and everything. But
So then, if it's Kur Dharma, do people who believe this, are they agrahit mithyat?
grahit and agrahit both. Grahit and agrahit. Agrahit is always there. Inborn wrong faith is there since time infinite. But
so those who believe this statement could be designated as grahit mithyatva.
Grahit mithyatva means it is the wrong faith started in this life. That's called grahit mithyatva. Grahit means accepted. Mithyatva means wrong faith. I have accepted this wrong faith in this life. And could that be called a wrong religion? Well, I mean, if you want to be really, really strict about it, one can say, yes, it's a wrong religion. Dharma, we can say that. So, by knowing the right thing, yes, I may still be in this state. For example, but that belief is start crumbling down right now, and I start taking my responsibility of my own, and I say I am the problem, not the karma fruition is a problem. Just today morning I was talking to somebody. Karma bichare kaun bhool meri adhikai, agni sahe ghangat loh ki sangati pai. Karma bichare kaun, who are this poor karma? Actually, fault is my own. My own fault is there. Karma fruition has nothing to do. They are innocent bystander. And because the fire can never get hurt. Fire can never be given any pain. But when that fire takes the association of the iron, and now this iron is red hot in that blacksmith's shop. Now blacksmith starts hitting that fire with his hammer. So this is the when fire by itself decided to take association with the iron, that's why fire end up getting hitting. Soul by itself decided to go into deluding state, and that's why the problem occurred. Poor karma, they were innocent bystander. They had nothing to do to your influence of attachment or aversion. So soul by itself made the attention to look at the fruition of karma. Soul ends up in the altered state by itself. So I am the problem. Why can't we accept that situation? Remember, we have this wrong notion since time infinite. And so it is so deep-seated in belief. It will take a while, but as long as I am understanding this right thing and I work accordingly, I start taking I become angry today because of myself, not because my spouse did something. She just created the situation for me. It was on my hand to become angry or not to become angry. So who is responsible? I cannot blame to the other party. I have to take blame to myself. So this is the soul ends up with the altered state by itself. This happens due to right faith person having now. Remember, this bullet we are talking. This happens due to right faith person having instability state. Means we are talking Samyak Drashti Jeev right now over here. Samyak Drashti Jeev, he already has a faith directed to the eternal soul. So he knows what is the nature of the eternal soul and where is his resting place. But still, his personal efforts are not strong enough, and time to time he slips into the altered behavior. and then he just ends up doing all the altered activities of inclination, of attachment and aversion. That means the Samyak Drashti Jeev, he'll be doing business. He has the household to run. He raises kids and everything. He is remaining in the society, working in society and everything. These are his instability state. He end up doing it, but from internally he knows it's not right for him. A person, he is a smoker. He has already heart problem occurred, for example, and after bypass surgery or God knows what, he is still smoking. At that time, he is aware of it, that the smoking is going to kill him. But that is his instability. It's his behavior is so deep-seated that he's not going to shake it up quickly or right away. And so, even though he's smoking, internally he knows this is bad for him. This is really bad for him. Similarly, this person, right fit person says, this is bad for me. I'm not supposed to do it, but I'm doing it. So, is this called, there's a question from Tanvi. It says, is this because of Anyanya Bhav, Karma, Pudgal, and Charitra Gun, Jeevs, Viprit Paryay? Yeah, because they both need to be separated out in our own mind, in our own understanding, that he is separate, I'm separate. So, Anyanya Bhav, you can say that one. Yeah. Or even better, you can say Anyanya Bhav will be occurring in a two modes of matter substance. Like, for example, touch and taste, they have Anyanya Bhav. But Atyanta Bhav means two separate substances, means one is a soul substance here and one is a matter substance in the form of fruition of karma. So two entire separate substances are there. So Atyanta Bhav, definitely they have no relationship at all. So we have to put Atyanta Bhav there, okay? All right, so that's what, but it's a good thought that you are coming. Okay, good. All right, so let's go next. So that smoking is bad to me, he knows, but he's not able to shake it off. Of course, he's working on it. If he's smoking on the hour, every hour, instead of that, he's going to smoke every 2 hours, every 3 hours, every 4 hours, and ultimately he's going to quit smoking. He now intensifies his engrossment into the eternal soul substance. That smoker also thinks about what's the best thing for him. He wants to survive for longer time. He wants to live longer. He wants to make sure that he can see the graduation of his kids coming out of college, etc., etc. So he makes that thought so much intensified that his cigarette smoking urge slowly starts going away. Now, when this Samyakdarshi Jeev, he is intensifying his engrossment into the soul substance, so the instability state slowly starts going away, gradually starts melting away. The purity keeps on increasing and inclination of attachment state keeps on subsiding. They are inversely relationship. Purity increases and inclination of attachment state starts decreasing proportionately. It's been said that this state of purity increasing and inclination of attachment subsiding, this state is called suppression in his inclination of attachment state. In this stanza particularly, doesn't have to be suppression all the time. One can intensify personal effort and can go to the annihilation ladder, just like Mahavir. Mahavir, at the age of 30, when he went into the meditative state and everything, and he just intensifies personal effort, and ultimately he takes annihilation ladder at age 42 and end up getting Keval Gnan, omniscience knowledge. But the separation ladder can also occur. That's why Acharya Bhagwan is putting this separation ladder over here for our understanding. Remember, this is a scripture, and when the scripture is called scripture, when it covers all the bases. So it doesn't necessarily has to happen to everybody, but it does happen. And as we said, when we talk about Rishabdev Bhagwan's previous life, yes, it happened twice in that life. That's why we have to understand that part. The second form of absolute, this separation of the influence of attachment state and to go in the separation ladder, that's called second form of absolute form of laudation of the Tirthankar Stuti. So Tirthankar Bhagwan's Stuti in the second form is due to suppression, ladder, climbing, and suppressing the inclination of attachment state, which will remain transiently all the way up to 11th spiritual development state, and from there soul will definitely fall down as per the spiritual development state is concerned. He may fall down and stabilize at 6th spiritual state most of the time, but he may also go to 5th, 4th, and it can go to 1st also. The example we have in Srimad Rajchandraji. Srimad Rajchandraji said that Laghu Shankana Dosti Amare Aya Janam Levo Padeo. That's what he said. That means when he was in this Mahavir Swami's Samaysar assembly of preaching, he has obtained Samyak Darshan, and then he ended up going through the separation ladder up to the 11th spiritual development state. Once you are there, definitely within intra-Indian hour, means Antar Muhurt, he's going to fall down. So he came down to 6th. Now, he could have stayed at 6th, but then it says that the reflective thoughts at the 6th spiritual development state occurred for Aprayojan Bhut, means some not useful thinking. For example, it means he's on the 6th spiritual development state, and now he's in reflective state, he's in thinking state and everything, and he end up hanging around on that thinking state for more than 48 minutes, and as a result, he fell down to 1st spiritual development state. अप्रयोजन भूत वस्तु पर विचार अथवा विकल्प. What does that mean? Aprayojan bhut means the one which is useless to me. For example, my spiritual, a person's spiritual development state and a person's spirituality to increase. What difference does it make that how many 24 sets of Tirthankars occur in the past? How many sets of 24 sets of Tirthankar will occur in the future? Or what's the nature of the space and the cosmic space? What's the size of it? Trans-cosmic space, and all those things, they are spirit. They are the thoughts for the religion, but for my spiritual condition, they are not useful to me. Who cares? Who cares in the sense? Yesterday, as I said, those kids, they asked me a question that Rishabdev Bhagwan, you are telling me that he occurred about 1 crore sagropam years back. And science says that Earth is only 2 billion years old. So where was Rishabdev born? Very intelligent question. Now, what difference does it make? In my spiritual quest, what difference does it make? Where was Rishabdev born? Or which area was he there? So this kind of thing, they are called not useful for my spiritual upliftment. And if one gets stuck to that for 48 minutes, he can fall down all the way to 6 to 5 to 4 to 1 also. That's what happened to Simaji. So these are the things happens in front of our lives, and so we know this part, and so we understand where not to have pitfalls. These are the pitfalls shown to us, and so we have to be careful there. The question is, do you start from 1st to 4th? when the first spiritual development state to fourth. Yes, always ascending. When the spirituality increases, soul goes from first spiritual development state to fourth. When he's falling down, then from fourth he's going to fall to third, to second, then it will come to first. But climbing up from one spiritual development state to the fourth spiritual development state. Okay, so now that we know second laudation of the Tirthankar Bhagwan in absolute form, we are saying laudation of Tirthankar Bhagwan, and now we are talking about soul all the time because we are talking absolute form. Tirthankar, laudation for Tirthankar alone. I sit down in front of the Tirthankar Bhagwan statue and I start singing virtues of the Tirthankar Bhagwan. That's a conventional laudation. But when I'm looking at Tirthankar Bhagwan and say, Tirthankar Bhagwan, you and me are same, and I will become like you because soul-wise you are pure, I am pure. Attribute-wise you are pure, I am pure. Modes-wise, you have pure mode at present time, I have impure mode at present time. So only one Samay mode is a difference, but I will bring that one out also, and then I will become like you. So that's why it's called absolute.
Kirit uncle?
Yes.
So I don't know if you took it directly, but so this reminded me of a paragraph from Moksha Prakashak that beautifully explains this very point. If I can add it to this slide.
Please.
Shall I read it? Okay.
Yeah.
This is directly from Moksha Prakashak. Behold the peculiarity of Jiva's thought activities. Some Jiv, after attaining Yathakyat Charitra, which is perfect, passionless conduct of subsidential type, in the 11th Gunasthan, again, by becoming a false believer, transmigrates in the world for a period of a little less than a half a matter cycle, and some other Jiv, just after coming out from the state of Nitya Nigod, and by taking birth in the form of man, after disappearance of Mithyatva, attains omniscience within an Antarmurat. Knowing this fact, one should be fearful of the degeneration of one's thought and should make efforts for improving them.
He gives two extreme examples over here. One extreme example, that one person, the person who has gone through this second form of absolute form of laudation with a suppression ladder, and now he's falling down from 11 to 6 to 5 to 4 to first spiritual development stage. But remember, his efforts are not wasted, because now he has realized, he had experienced the nature of the soul, and he has that unique experience that he says, that blissful state, I would like to go back again. So he's going to intensify his effort. So in general, within 135 or 15 lives, that soul will get liberated. But in a worst come to worst situation, as you read the extreme, that it will take Ardha Pudgal Paravartan, means very long time, but compared to infinite Pudgal Paravartan I have passed through, half Pudgal Paravartan, half phase of matter phase, half Pudgal Paravartan is practically nothing. So he's already at the he's swimming through the ocean. He's almost to the he is almost finishing his swimming. He's almost there. And it may take a little while for him to go to the liberation, but he will go to liberation. That's a one form of extreme, he said. And second form of extreme thing, he says that a soul comes out from Nigod and becomes a man and intensifies personal effort so much that in the same life he ends up going to liberation. So
in the Hindi of that, because this is written in Hindi,
yeah,
what I recall is the word, so it doesn't, obviously things are lost in translation, but the word in the Hindi version of that paragraph the word that Panditji used was vichitra. It
Yeah.
was the strangeness of thought
Yeah.
that this could happen in either direction like this.
Yeah. And,
The strangeness of thought, not action, not doing, not knowing, the strangeness of thought.
And that's why that that the thought process, the reflective thoughts, as long as reflective thought persists, then there is no experiencing of the soul. As long as reflective thought persists, that means there is no direct experiencing phase going on. As, let's say that you enjoyed a given party, you enjoyed the party in total. When you are enjoying it, you are engrossed in that. You are not thinking anything else. Now somebody asks you, how was the party? Now you describe it. Now you are giving reflective thought situation to that party. Well, there was a good music was there. People were with the nice clothes were there. The atmosphere was great. This and that and everything. So now you are describing. That means it's a reflective thought. When you are experiencing, there is no reflective thought. There is a primary abstract comprehension, nirvikalp anubhuti. When we give example, they may not fit properly, but it just gives the idea, because I don't have a nirvikalp anubhuti. I don't have primary abstract comprehension state. That's why Acharya Bhagwan has given these examples to us, and we use that one so that we understand what it is. And you gave the vichitra, means two extreme situation, but that doesn't mean that it always happens that way. Exception proves the rule, doesn't mean exceptions occurs all the time. So that's what it is. Very good. Thank you for throwing that reference. It's very nice. Very good. You are at least correlating those things very nicely. I'm proud of you. Very good. Okay. All right. So let's move further. Soul and matter relationship. Quickly, we'll just go through this famous picture that what we have here. These are soul's deluding mode. It's its own eligibility. Deluding state is soul's own doing it, its own eligibility, and that's why it happened this way right now. And karma fruition was supposed to happen that way, so they are being blamed, they have been accused as doer of the deluding state, because this deluding state is there, but if there is no karma fruition present, then deluding state cannot be expressed. I have eligibility sitting in my soul right now for lots of modes. Infinite modes are sitting in my soul with eligibility, paryagat yogyata. But they are of a non-relativistic form. They are simply sitting in the soul. But when the expression of that eligibility mode comes at particular time, and there is fruition of karma present as a instrumental cause, combine these two guys together, that means there is an expression of that mode occurs. Until the fruition of karma state comes, this mode sitting in the soul is in a non-relativistic form. And so when that mode becomes relativistic, means comes in association with the fruition of karma, then the actual action occurs. Knowing that one, that means now I have to understand that I am separate and these guys are separate. I have no relations with them. If I keep that attitude, that means it's a further progression in the spirituality. So that's what we have to think about it. So here, what it says here, fruition of karma and altered state, hybridization for bhavya bhavak shankar dos. When I consider them as one, I consider them as a one only, that means it's a hybridization fault of fruition of karma and altered state. This is my altered state, this is my fruition of karma, and hybridization means unity between those two I created in my understanding. And that's called bhavya bhavak shankar dos. This is called bhavya, this is called bhavak. Shankar means hybridization, fault. This is the crux of this second stanza, this 32nd stanza. So, soul and matter is again discarding attention to the fruition of karma means the bhavak bhavya sankar dos comes to an end. When I'm at my yes,
the left pink rectangle, innate state, that's Gyan, correct?
The innate state, you can say, yeah, innate state is a Gyan.
And then diluted state is Rag, essentially.
Rag. This is knowledge, and this is the influence of attachment, or Rag and Dvesh state. Yes. So once I take the attention away from these guys completely and just remain engrossed into my natural state, that means this bhavya bhavak shankar dos comes to an end. So it just shows, first it showed the pathological problem, and then second thing, it showed the treatment. What's a treatment? I want to remove this guy. I want to remove this guy. But how to remove? Don't look at them. Just attention over here. I want to remove darkness. How can I remove darkness? Put the lights on. I want to remove darkness, but why are you talking light, light, light? When you put the lights on, darkness automatically runs away. When you bring your attention over here, this fault automatically dissipates because there is no reason for that to hang around. So influence of attachment starts decreasing when I'm just getting engrossed into my knowledge state, innate state. So forcefully the engrossment in the soul substance is increased, the suppression of the karma occurs. Means now forcibly I try to bring my attention, focus over here. Forcibly I say, I'm not going to buy the cigarette, I'm not going to go outside, I'm not going to go to the smoking zone at all, I'm going to just lock up myself in my office and everything. So that means urge to smoke, he suppressed at that time. He had an intense urge to smoke, but now he suppressed that one by remaining engrossed into his office and all kind of things. Similarly, over here, you by force, and these are the words, actual words that I'm taking from scripture, what Amrit Chandra Acharya wrote down, that forcefully one goes into the engrossment of the soul. So soul ends up with influence of attachment state. This mode is generated independently within him. Appropriate fruition of karma present as an instrument and cause. The enlightened soul in this state ends up with minor form of influence of attachment and aversion. Enlightened soul ends up with this minor form of influence of attachment and aversion. That is his weakness. In the fourth, fifth, and sixth spiritual development state, there is presence of different types of concentration. In fourth spiritual development state, there is a milder form of concentration to the eternal soul. Fifth, little bit more, sixth, somewhat more, and accordingly, there is going to be a different state of inclination of attachment state expression in the fourth, fifth, and sixth, depending on presence of a karma fruition at that particular state. So concentration now, when we use the word here, fully engrossment means now he concentrates on this side. And Gurudev used the word, that he is concentrating, meditating. And he gives little bit flavor of the meditations and the concentrations. He gives little. So then we just said, okay, we picked that one up and we said, okay, it gives us opportunity to find it out how many types of dhyan I can do. Meditation is not a right word for dhyan, but lack of better words, we are using that. But we are going to use concentration and all the thing and see how can that concentration be divided. So that's a brand new chapter we're starting right now. It's called dhyan. How many different types of dhyans are there and what are their characteristics? Mainly there are 4 different types are there. One is a arthra dhyan, painful meditation or mournful concentration. Second is called Raudra Dhyan, violent concentration or cruel concentration. Third is a Dharma Dhyan, righteous concentration or religious meditation or virtuous concentration. And fourth is Sukla Dhyan, absolute, supreme absolute meditation. So, Arthra Dhyan can be present from 4 to 6 spiritual development state. Remember, painful meditation, mournful meditation, and we'll just go through that one later on. But right now, spiritual development state, 1st to 6th spiritual development state, one can have Arthra Dhyan. Raudra Dhyan, it could be there from 1 to 5th spiritual development state. Dharma Dhyan starts from 4th, it goes up to 7th. 4th to 7th spiritual development state. And Sukla Dhyan, supreme meditation, 8 to 14 spiritual development state. So this way, all these concentrations of meditation, how they are related with the spiritual development state, that we come to know this part. Now we go and understand what is Arthra Dhyan, Raudra Dhyan, Dharma Dhyan, Sukla Dhyan. Arthra Dhyan, painful meditation, mournful meditation, there are 4 different types. Separation from desired thing or person means Ishta-viyog. I like something and I'm not getting it. I like to eat sweet, but my diabetes says I can't have it. So now I have a painful meditation, mournful concentration occurs. I love this phone. I'm a 14-year kid. I have loved this phone, but my parents said, no, you can't have it, you can't have it, you can't have it. So, Ishta-viyog means a desired thing, I'm not getting it. I'm getting separation from the desired thing. My health, I'd like to be absolutely healthy, but now my health is gone and I'm sick right now. So that's a mournful concentration. I constantly worrying about it. Why did I lose my health? What happened? How could I have prevented these things and all kind of things? Second thing, getting undesired thing. Anishta sanyog. A kid gets what is lock out or lock in or God knows what. I forgot those words also because that's a long time back I did with my kids. But you just put that kid into the isolation because he is not behaving. He got that undesirable thing. So he is now having mournful concentration or arthra dhyan. My mom is like this, my dad is like this, nobody loves me, this and that, and all kind of thing. He has a disturbed thought process. Pain due to illness and concentration of how to remove it. Vedna janya. I have severe discomfort going on, maybe severe arthritis going on. And I constantly thinking about it, how to remove it, I have one of my friends. He is so concerned about his health, minimal thing changes, and he really just goes ups and downs. I told my friend, I said, listen, we are 70 plus. If we don't have some mild ailment now, when we are supposed to get it? So accept it. Don't just drive yourself nuts. But people do that one. So painful. Then last one, hankering after enjoyment, nidanjanya, means if I do good job today, maybe I'll get a better life in the afterlife. Maybe I'll go to the heavenly life. And so to do the work, to get the enjoyment as a result of it, and that is also a mournful concentration, or is called arthra dhyan. Ishta-viyog, yeah.
નિદાનનો તમે ઇંગ્લિશ શબ્દ શું આપ્યો?
Hankering means ફળની આશા રાખવી એ.
I know મને ઇંગ્લિશ વર્ડ જોઈ છે.
Hankering.
Hankering.
It's over here. Hankering.
Okay.
So
Okay.
hankering after enjoyment. You are doing something and you just say that I would like to get that one. I would like to, whatever I do right now, maybe it will lead me to the better life and all the things. So just to go to heavenly life, that's why I'm going to do good job. Suppose there was no heavenly life described, then am I not going to do good job? So those are the things, they are called Artha Dhyan. 4 different types. Okay. Then Raudra Dhyan. So remember, this occurs from 1st to 6th spiritual development state. Am I in one of those things? Am I doing one of those things right now? Yes, that's why I'm in Artha Dhyan right now. So when I'm doing meditation right now, I'm doing dhyan right now. That's not called dhyan, that's called Artha Dhyan, because I'm in the 1st spiritual development state. How come it's Artha Dhyan? Well, it's called Artha Dhyan. Why it's called Artha Dhyan? I'm quiet. I'm sitting in a corner. I have no other thought process going on. I'm always thinking about eternal soul and everything. And you are telling me I'm doing Artha Dhyan right now, mournful concentration? Yes. Why? Why? Because I'm in the 1st spiritual development state. Why? Because I'm in 1st spiritual development state means every samay I have mithyatva rising within me. Every samay wrong belief rising within me.
So, Kirit,
yes.
So if technically
Mm-hmm.
a person with agrahit mithyatva, forget about grahit mithyatva,
Mm-hmm.
is doing Artha Dhyan,
Yes.
thinking that they're doing something spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
So they think they're doing A, but they're doing B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there any way by doing B, which is Artha Dhyan, to get out of agrahit mithyatva?
Remember, agrahit, it means an inborn wrong faith. It's so deeply ingrained. It's not going to go just like that. It's going to take time. But
I know,
again,
but it's going to take time.
Effort.
But Artha Dhyan, can Artha Dhyan in any way get you out of agrahit mithyatva?
Artha Dhyan will not let you out of the...
Okay.
Artha Dhyan will not let you get out of the agrahit mithyatva, because the agrahit mithyatva is an inborn wrong faith, and Artha Dhyan occurs in the 1st wrong faith state. So Artha Dhyan is there no matter what I'm doing, whatever activity I'm doing, or how much time I'm sitting down in a meditation and all the things. So these are the things we have to understand. In the sense, people will think, oh, I'm doing meditation and I'm Gnata Drashta right now. Who says you are Gnata Drashta? You are in the false belief, because as long as you have no samyak darshan, as long as you are in the mithya darshan, as long as you're in the wrong faith, 1st spiritual development state, means every samay you have the wrong faith deluding state. That means you are binding infinite bonding karma, anantanumandi karmanu bandhan. Every samay it's going on right now. And how can you say that you are in a Gnata Drashta right now? You are full of wrong faith and full of attachment, influence of attachment and aversion. But it is right now in such a milder form, that it gives the false impression that I am just simply knower and observer.
And so, Kirit,
yeah.
This I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's like you're sitting there reading the Shastra. I mean, obviously you are, But so that point also I read was made. And so the danger, the false association that you just mentioned, believing that you're doing B, but you're actually doing A, precludes you from trying to give up A to get to B. And therefore, it's a self-sustaining cycle. So in other words, if you think you're in Nayak Bhao, or you think you are deep within yourself, or you think you have such weak toxic emotions, or if you think, et cetera, that you think that you're essentially on the right path, then you are necessarily not believing that you're doing Artha Dhyan, which means you're not going to try to stop doing Artha Dhyan, which means you're not going to leave a great mithyatva.
And that's why understanding, belief, that is most important. That's why it's Tattvat Sutra, first adhyay, first chapter, first sutra, Samyak Darshan Gnan Charitrani Hi Moksha Margaha. Samyak Darshan is first, right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct is a path. A unity of the right faith, right conduct, and right knowledge is the path to liberation. Means right faith and right knowledge are very first thing. You have to have right knowledge. You have to have right faith. People are going to do same thing. Means, remember, I don't want to do the bad thing, right? I don't want to do the inauspicious thing. What am I going to do? Auspicious. But that auspicious thing is also not my final stay. I still have to go furthermore. As long as that understanding is there, milder form of toxic emotion, this soul has done infinite times in the past. Infinite times in the past, milder form of toxic emotions, and I'm under the wrong notion that I am my inborn wrong faith is getting washed away right now. In fact, they are not. The only a milder form of toxic emotions, maybe I'm doing auspicious activity, but the belief has to be strong enough to understand that.
Can the mildest possible form, and I'm asking because I don't know the answer, can the mildest, most minute, weakest form of Artha Dhyan in any way be the cause of Dharam Dhyan?
No, cannot be. Remember, in the sixth spiritual development state, there is a monk who is called external clad monk, means of Dravya Lingi Muniraj. When you look at his external behavior, 28 primary virtues, Athyavis Mool Gun, he is strictly following that one to the extent when he's quote unquote in meditation, and if you take the skin out completely from him and put the salt on the wound and everything, there won't be slightest redness in the corner of the eye also. That kind of strongest form of a behavior one can do, but he has not realized the soul. So that's why he is in the first spiritual development state. And so if it that kind of intense meditative and all those things that he's doing it, but still he's on the Artha Dhyan only. So what you say, the mildest form of toxic, he looks extremely mild natured. The toxic emotions are extreme, so subtle that they are exactly maybe none present. But scripture says we have done those kind of things many times in the past. We have done that kind of a strict conduct in a many infinite times, it says. Still, and these are the scriptural words, it is not my word. It says that if you take that mupati and you start as a monk that you have mupati, that mupati you start putting into and then into the order, and it will become as tall as Mount Meru. That many times I may have done those kind of thing in the past, but I did not self-realize. So something was missing. So now I can do all those things today also, but understanding has to be solidly set in my mind that this is not going to be my right path. I mean, this is not ultimate goal for me. This is stepping stone for me. I still have to go and realize my soul. So, I mean, it's a big order of understanding on our part, but that understanding is very important. And if nothing happened in the past, why do you say it's going to happen now? Well, if you try, you will succeed. If you try and life comes to an end, no problem. Your impression of knowledge will continue with you in the next life also. So there is nothing to get frustrated about. As long as I'm on the right path today, I would like to have Samyak Darshan in this life. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not worried about it, because it has to come to me ultimately with the right understanding. So let's start with the right footing and right understanding and keep doing that one. Keep hitting hard that idea. And when we do that, ultimately it will result into Samyak Darshan, which will be a stepping stone again. And it will take me to the liberation state finally.
Kirit, is Swadhyay Artha Dhyan?
Yes, Swadhyay. Right now, as long as you are in this first spiritual development state, Swadhyay is also Artha Dhyan. Swadhyay, meditation, and everything. So you can just take it, talk to any situation, because it's a mithyatva, because it's wrong faith. So it will be Artha Dhyan. It cannot be called Dharma Dhyan or Sukla. So of course, Sukla Dhyan occurs from say 8th spiritual development onward. So Sukla Dhyan is not in a question. But Dharma Dhyan also occurs from 4th spiritual development state. So if I don't have 4th space, then only right now I have Artha and Raudra only.
Then Kirit, why is this Artha Dhyan? I guess I'm the only one. I'm asking because I don't know. I'd like to know. Why is this Artha Dhyan that I'm doing now better than, if I sat in the corner and was in Nayak Bhav? Why is this Artha Dhyan better?
It's the same. One is a milder toxic emotion, other is a stronger toxic emotion. That's all. But they are ultimately toxic emotions. Then we can have a handcuff of the iron or handcuff of the gold. Ultimately, it's a bondage is bondage. So you are getting bondage. So it doesn't make difference. Now, that doesn't mean that I should be doing all inauspicious activities right now. No,
I didn't say inauspicious. So those are both auspicious, right? So Nayak Bhav versus Swadhyay. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but the way I've asked myself the same question many times. And the only answer that I can come up with that at least makes sense to me is that if I'm sitting in a corner doing Nayak Bhav, I'm relying on myself to focus my own attention. Mm-hmm. I'm relying on my own mentality, my own psyche, my own subconscious to focus my quote unquote Nayak Bhav to keep myself from engaging in worse toxic emotions. Mm-hmm. The way I reason it is when I'm doing Swadhyay, I'm not relying on myself as much because I'm not reliable. Because if I was reliable, I wouldn't be going in a circle for, so many aras, right? Anadika. So with Swadhyay, because there's a shastraji or because there's some sort of, very, very excellent nimit, I'm not relying, although I understand in reality, we're only doing our own purusharth. I get that, fine. But the nimit might be more clear and stronger, and perhaps my purusharth is stronger in the context of Swadhyay than it might be sitting in a corner doing Nayak Bhav. That's the only reasonable explanation I was able to convince myself of. Maybe if you can give me a better answer, I would appreciate that.
Both the things are okay, whatever way you can remain kind of free from the toxic emotions of negativity type. Means all inauspicious inclinations, you stay away from it, you do Swadhyay or you do meditation, whatever suits to you. Do it. It's okay. But that is not my ultimate goal. Keeping that one in mind and perform it. So it doesn't make difference whether you're reading scripture or whether you're doing meditation. So both are same. Both could be put in the same category to me, according to me. I mean, I don't have any scriptural reference or anything, but then I'm just simple common sense is telling me, if I have the ability that I remain concentrated by reading only or getting Swadhay only, then that's my cup of tea. And you like to do the meditation and like to remain as long as possible to away from toxic emotions or remain in milder form of toxic emotion, then it's okay with you. So
which of those two are Tattva Nirnay, Kirit uncle?
both will be leading you to the Tattva Nirnay. Why not? The Swadhyay will give you the understanding, and from understanding, you are going to do the reflection on it, and that will be the meditative state and everything. Somebody wants to just know only I am the soul and body is not me. Only that thing he knows, that one, and he keeps working on it on quote unquote so-called meditative state, and that is also okay for him. For me, so body is separate from me, but what about the material karma and everything? What about my influence of attachment and everything? So that is my knowledge path I'm taking. That will be also okay. So both will be okay. That's what I think. That's what I consider. Right? Yes, or any other suggestions? Anybody else wants to throw anything in this discussion?
Uncle, is this the same as
Yeah, go ahead. What is it?
same as sitting in Samayik?
Samayik also the same way as sitting in a meditative thing. Samayik is the rituals that has been explained to you, but that ritual has a meaning, because like for example, the soul at the seventh spiritual development state, once he gets engrossed into his natural state for 48 minutes, then he goes to 12th spiritual development state. So that 48 minutes of engrossment into the soul, that's the one as that we do the mimic. We are using that situation and try to say 48 minutes without I'm a kind of a undue thought process. Of course, because I'm in a wrong fate state, my thought process will be there, but inauspicious thought process, I'll be away from that one. So I'm just mimicking that situation. Yeah, I'm not in the Gnata Drashta state at that point, but my toxic emotions are really, really in milder form at that time. That's all it is. Right?
Okay.
All right. Okay. If there's any other questions or anything else, anybody wants to throw anything else? Rekha, you want to say something? Rekha, we can't hear you, Rekha. No, we are not. Somehow your volume is not up, so we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Please.
Can you think that way, that Jnana doesn't become Samyak until you have Samyak Darshan? So any type of dhyan you do before that, we can consider that as an Artha Dhyan?
Mithya Gyan, Artha Dhyan, yes.
Okay.
When you have the experiencing of the soul, means now you have faith attribute, which has an impure mode in the form of wrong faith mode. Now you brought it to the eternal soul substance, and that faith mode is called right faith mode, means Samyak Darshan, means at that time associated knowledge is called Samyak Gnan also. Previous to that, no matter how deep knowledge you had it, as long as the soul is in the wrong faith state, that knowledge is also called wrong knowledge. But of course, there are intensity of those wrong knowledges. Means now I have that quote unquote wrong knowledge about my soul substance. Who am I? what's my nature, why I'm here, and those kind of things, soul-centric thought process, even though they are called wrong knowledge, but that so-called wrong knowledge now leads you to the primary abstract comprehension state, nirvikalpta. Then same knowledge at that point will be given name as a samyak jnana. So right now, whatever we are doing it, we are gathering knowledge, and then we are making tattva nirnay, we are making a decision about the reality and determination of the reality. And by the determination of reality, and then thinking about it, pondering on it, repetition on those things, and that will become absolute, an absolute form of nature of reality. And once that occurs, then the thought process also starts quieting down, reflective thought process quiets down, and one fine moment, one ends up with the primary abstract comprehension, nirvikalta, and that means at that time, every whatever knowledge you had previously, it is all called samyak darshan, samyak jnana now.
But Kirit, that's also a very common theme that I come across, and I will take you back to what you taught us in Samaysar 17, where another perspective is samyak gyan is not samyak until gyan is samyak. So Gata 17, Acharya Dev says that you first have to know the king, you have to know what's right, and then everything else becomes true. So the only reason I'm bringing this up, this is a very we're splitting hairs here, but a lot of times what I come across, and I guess I've made this mistake as well at some point, assuming that all knowledge to be false until you have this nebulous concept called samyak darshan, at times disincentivizes people to pursue knowledge, in the understanding that everything is false until you have this nebulous gem called samyak darshan. But Acharya Dev in this Shastra himself says that to have samyak gyan, you don't have samyak gyan until your gyan is samyak. And that's also an emphasis that I think at times gets lost in the typical understanding or teaching or narrative that many times Jains seem to.
What you are driving a point is from Samaysar perspective, and you are just giving reference of 17, 18 stanza, in which generally speaking, when we talk from a comprehensive point of view, when we consider all attributes and soul and modes and everything in one unity, in that sentence, when we say that when the faith occurs or samyak darshan occurs, then knowledge is called samyak jnana. But now we are going nitty-gritty, very microscopic point, that faith attribute does its own job, knowledge attribute does its own job, conduct attribute is doing own job, and each one has no relationship to each other. They all are doing independent work. So the knowledge is doing its own independent work. And now when I'm doing this Swadhay, etc., 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 now it is a fragmented form of knowledge. I'm getting it from the scripture, I'm reading it, and from my eyes and my mind and everything, it gets illuminated into my knowledge mode. And that knowledge mode belongs to me. So knowledge occurred to me is because of me. That kind of understanding occurring, that means it is called samyak jnana. But when that thing occurs, exactly at the same time, faith attribute also has reverted to the eternal soul substance. So in general speaking, comprehensive point of view, we said samyak darshan means jnana is called samyak jnana. But in actuality, that knowledge it has its own course. You obtain knowledge. Now you obtain knowledge, you determine the reality, you understood the nature of the reality, you ponder upon that reality, you concentrate on that reality. All these things are knowledge part. and ultimately reflective thoughts to start decreasing. Again, it's from the knowledge point of view, and then primary after comprehension state means knowledge is now called samyak jnana. So what you said is absolutely true, that it is from the knowledge perspective. Faith has no relationship according to Samaysar. And so we have to have that kind of understanding in the mind, and to keep both the sides together and act on it. And as you say, yes, that oh, because there is no samyak darshan, that means all my knowledge is called wrong knowledge, and so why should I even do swadhyay? If you don't do swadhyay, if you don't do the determination of the reality, nothing will happen to you in the future. Your transmigration will continue forever. So do not neglect that. Why swadhyay? I have to do it because it's called wrong knowledge. And this is what I'm glad you just made that clarification of point. That's very good. Good. Did everybody else get this idea at this point, that when we are looking from eternal soul's perspective, then all the attributes are also independent and they have no dependency on each other. This is what independence in Jainism is described. First, independence is described between two substances. I am the soul substance and this guy is a matter substance. So they both are independent, and that's it. Thereafter, attributes independence comes. The knowledge attribute does its own job, faith attribute does its own job, conduct attribute does its own job, and the bliss attribute is doing its own job. So then individual attributes are also independent. Thereafter, if the Jainism goes further detailed and says each mode is independent. One Samay mode, in a second, there'll be innumerable modes coming. But out of that, each mode is separate. Each mode is independent. It is no dependency on the previous mode, etc., etc. And thereafter, after knowing that one, then Acharya Bhagavan further takes us down to the super microscopic way and says the disintegration has no relationship to the origination, and they both have no relationship with the constancy. So this kind of independence of a substance is absolutely described in Jain philosophy only, because it is extreme detail that the origination of the new mode has no relationship to the disintegration of the previous mode also. So these are the things that's what we have to understand. That's why when you don't know these nitty-gritty things, then it makes really understanding so powerful that now you are having the pitfalls for falling down are just blocked out, and there is no way you are going to fall down. So these are the important thing. That's why people say knowledge path is very difficult and this and that. No, it's not difficult. It just, you have to put your attention to that, and if you put your heart to it, anybody can understand that. So here we are now. Can we go further? Can we start, or can we go more? I don't know, time-wise. We don't have time for Raudradhyan. We have only a couple of minutes left. So if there's anybody has questions or any suggestions or any comment or anything, let's talk about it for a couple of minutes. Anybody wants to give anything? No? Okay.
Kirit, what is the English word for Adradhyan?
The mournful meditation. Let's go back to the previous slide again. Okay. Arthradhyan means painful meditation or mournful, mourning, sick, that mournful meditation. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Then we are just going to do the closing then. Okay. जावानी के ज्ञान से सूझे लोकालोक, Sovani Mastaka Namo Sada Deta Dhamma. 9 times Mamoka mantra. Morentanam. Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
Thank you.
Micham Dukunam. Thank you.